You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. We are here fresh. This is Halloween. It's Halloween afternoon, Ty, and I am joined by Ty Capone. Ty, how are you feeling down there? What is your situation for Halloween? You giving out candy tonight, or is there going to be people strolling through your building, or is it you got the night off?
I am working, so I'm hoping to make a bunch of money from all the crazy people. I mean, I like Halloween. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but when you like aren't in the festive mood for like this year, like I wanted to be Jon Snow, right? I wanted to do a nice little costume, but it kind of crept up on me. I have Kansas City in a couple of weeks. Still haven't booked that flight, by the way, so I don't know what I'm waiting for there. But if anybody is out there with cheap flights, let me know. I'll hop on a boat, whatever we need.
Be a tough boat ride.
It would, but it's all right. Listen, we're gonna beat the Chiefs. I'm confident.
I am.
So I'm not dressing up, and when you're not dressing up, you kind of like you look at everybody that goes all out, and you're like, oh, I fucking hate you so much. But it is kind of cool. I will be working. There is a costume. There is a door contest. Whoever decorates their front door in the apartment complex, whoever does the best. I don't know what they win, but they win something. So
free rent for a month.
Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine I would just take like a 10% reduction, please. That's all I want. But not really doing anything else though.
All right. Well, last night, while a large majority of the public was sleeping, especially here on the East Coast,
I was too.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's why I happened to be up. I had gotten done work. I was chilling, and I'm
usually up too. And I woke up with a text from you. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. I was like, when I was sitting there, I'm just sitting there all like I think I was watching TV or something, and on my phone like buzzed, and I just looked at Twitter notification. So I was like, it's got to be some sort of news. Sometimes it's just Schefter at like 3 a.m. going, yeah, this guy will play this weekend. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care at all. Like some offensive tackle that I've never heard of, but this time it was Woj. James Harden has been traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. And, I mean, we all kind of expected that, but it was just crazy that it kind of went down this quick and kind of happened. It felt like this was going to get drug on longer and longer and longer and longer, and it was just going to be a never-ending saga. But luckily for us, it's kind of, been nipped in the bud, and it's kind of over with. I am going to pull up what we actually got in this trade, but right away, were you happy, before we talk about who was involved and whatnot, were you happy to see that James Harden was moved on from?
Yeah, I mean, I said it when we did this last time when we saw him get, pretty much booted off the plane. Like, hey, buddy, you're not flying with us. You're staying here. It felt like they kept saying they want to get him in condition, in shape, and ready to play games. I feel like they said a similar thing about Ben Simmons right before they moved him too. It was about getting him in shape to play and getting him ready. So we're just going to sit him out a couple games to start the year. It's like, okay, that's weird. It's very ominous. And yeah, I thought it was just kind of obvious what they were doing. I mean, Terrence Mann hasn't played yet. So I figured he wasn't going to be in the deal regardless. And him being injured probably just had the Clippers saying, no, we're going to hold on to him. We don't know. And they never, we didn't even get Amir Coffey. I mean, I guess the best player, maybe not the best player, but the most significant player in this trade, at least in my opinion, is Kenyon Martin Jr., just because he is 22. He's very athletic. He played pretty well last year for, I think, the Rockets, but they were really bad. So I don't want to take his stats for too much. I think a lot of that was just, kind of like how Tony Roden averaged 17 a game one year. But he's young, athletic, and he could be interesting. The other players we got, I guess we can play Covington a little bit, 10, 15 minutes. Same with Batum. Marcus Morris is pretty much unplayable. I don't even think he's
been playing for them this year.
Has he?
I looked it up. Yeah, he's got averaging double digits. So I don't know if that's accurate or if I was – they were fucking with me, but I looked it up. Like Batum,
like that was
Batum is unplayable. Stats. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Then.
Personal reasons he hasn't played. I don't know what's going on. I guess they just wanted to trade him too. I love that we're getting him. He's from Kansas. He's from Philly. He's from went to high school in Jersey. I wanted us to draft him about 14 years ago, but him and Markieff went back to back right before us. So it's cool getting him back. Our buddy Dave Greenlaw ran into his mom a bunch of times in North Philly. Apparently, she was super cool. They ride for their mom. If you remember when they beat the shit out of that one guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Hopefully, he doesn't play much. He used to be the LeBron stopper a long time ago.
I mean, he was calling himself the LeBron stopper. He
I was
wasn't.
calling him the LeBron stop. No, but I think Covington and Batum can give you a little bit, just not much. Like 10, 15 minutes a game. I'm so glad Danny Green is gone. PJ Tucker Harden, if you want to call him that, he is gone as well, which I'm fine with. We got out of his contract, so it seems like we're freeing up money. We got a couple firsts, we got a couple seconds, or a pick swap. So I'm completely content.
We got a 2028 unprotected first-round pick from the Clippers, which actually
2028.
I mean, if you think about it, though, that probably will have some sort of value because
30 years from now.
Time. Well, no, I mean, time is ticking on these guys. If you look at their core right now, it's Westbrook, Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, and the latter two are free agents after this season. So
they're all in their 30s, yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're not. They're
I like it.
If not at the end of the 30s, they're right in the middle. So it's not
right,
not ideal. And we got I believe a first round pick from the Thunder somehow worked into this deal. I don't know what the deal is with that, but then we have pick swaps. We got all sorts of shit in this deal. So the Clippers are sending a 2027 first round pick swap to OKC, clearing the way for OKC to move a unprotected 2026 first round pick. Move a protected, 2026 first-round pick to the Sixers, sources said. Clippers are sending a 24 and 29 second-round pick.
29?
Yeah, exactly. So they're just moving anything down the line. I mean, if I was a GM,
we don't have picks.
I'd be doing the same thing. I would be exactly. We don't have picks, but Ty, I guess I would like to ask you, I mean, this trade really brought nothing back, essentially, that can help you in the short term. So I guess I would wonder, me and you have not exactly been the biggest Daryl Morey supporters or fans, I guess, because we just don't what is the point? I don't get. I was of the belief that this guy was this mastermind GM, and this is who Sam Hinkie had learned from and all this stuff, and he gets here and he's kind of just done nothing. He's taking pictures with cookies and. Tweeting about cryptocurrency and making Harden trades, and then that's it. That's really all he's done for the most part. I mean, he's made a couple good deals here and there, but I guess I ask you, Ty, how does this trade supposed to make me feel good? It doesn't make me feel bad. It's kind of just okay, he's gone. That's the good part of it, but what do they do with all this stuff now? Are they is the obvious idea that they're going to flip this for something? They keep saying cap room for this free agency or the 2024 free agent class, but if you look at that, not exactly a who's of names.
Yeah, I guess it does a couple things, right? It gets James Harden out of here, so now everybody can focus. I think that's the most important thing. We've looked good, honestly. Through the first 3 games, I think we've looked good. We probably should have beat the Bucks, and that's even with Lillard going off, right? I thought we were going to get blown out in the first game. Last 2 games, I mean. How about Tyrese Maxey just in general through the first? Also Embiid, he's played. He's not jacking up shots. His field goal percentage is high. He's getting rebounds. He's getting assists, and he's playing good defense. More importantly, we'll see. Listen, we'll see how long it lasts. Right, it's a long season. All it takes is one little injury, but I like what I'm seeing so far. Kelly Oubre, game 1 looked great. Game 2 and 3, not so much. That's he's going to be thrust into a bigger role. I think scoring wise, him or Tobias or both. So. Yeah, I have some issues with our offense and defense and depth for the short term, but we get some picks. We have $60 million in cap space, right? Something like that.
$66 million I think is the number I saw. Yeah,
love it, beautiful number. I know we have to give Maxey something, and the way he's playing is just going to keep going up and up. But we'll see. We'll see how we can do that. But I think now it gives us a chance to get. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, there's not many guys out there, right? But I think Pascal Siakam, Terry Rozier.
It seems like OG Siakam's the number 1 guy, and then it goes down from there.
I would love Anunoby for defense, but I think you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. I really want Zach LaVine. I don't know how that backcourt would work defensively. Maxey and LaVine, that sounds like some barbecue chicken, but maybe we can get something else. Patrick Williams also maybe a throw-in. I don't love him, but he's versatile. He's a good athlete. I don't know. I think Terry Rozier could be a decent, cheaper option. I'm sure he's going to want out of Charlotte with LaMelo Ball, just stinking it up. Maybe Anunoby and Siakam, if you could, I don't think either of them have that much trade value, especially Siakam. Raptors don't even want to.
Well, they're both free agents at the end of the year.
Deal.
I think it is important because I think both of them are going to walk. So it's basically going to come down to, and I don't think like those kind of guys are going to be the people that we trade for. I think it's going to be like I don't even think we trade for anyone. I really don't. I think he's holding on to these picks to kind of make a move next year. I really think that is the plan here, and unfortunately.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't really think there's much of a chance that we can be a top 2 or 3 team in the East. I mean, I think Tim Legler described it best. He said we're a tier below the Celtics and Bucks. I think that's probably true. I mean, nobody else in the East has really wowed me to start the year. I know it's only been 3 games, but the Hawks, nothing. The Raptors, nothing. Who else? Who am I thinking of? Really nobody, honestly. The Cavs, no, not really. So
mids.
Yeah, they've been mid-pack. So, I mean, I don't know. We have to really see how Tyrese Maxey plays it. I don't think he's going to play at the level he's playing at right now, but he is taking confident shots. He's hitting deep threes. He's hitting just pull-up threes, step backs, catch and shoot. He seems more confident. So I don't know. I don't really know what the plan is. I mean, I think if they're sputtering-ish by the trade deadline, if they're not really in a rhythm, I think they're going to be active, try to get some offensive help. But yeah, at least we have flexibility now, which we haven't really had. But I'm not sure where that takes us, who that gets us. But I'm interested, I guess.
I think the good thing that comes from all this, and it's not even Harden trade related, it's just the fact that we talked about what is the thing that could bring you back into the Sixers. Like we talked about this last pod, like. There's no way for them to make a Harden trade that's going to be like, wow, we're back in. Like, we feel excited. What really could get us back in was the fact that if Tyrese Maxey made the leap that we were talking about and how he got even better than he was last year, and it's very obvious that he has. That offense has gotten even better. He's not turning the ball over. Not that he really ever was a big-time turnover guy, but when they do let him run the point, it's looking good, and it just looks like he's I mean, he's only 23 years old. It looks like he's constantly growing as a player and as a guy that you can kind of now mark as a perfect kind of complementary piece to Joel Embiid. And like you said, Joel seems like the first couple of games, or at least the first game, he was just slow, lethargic. Looked like he didn't really want to be there. That was my vibe in the beginning of the game. And then as the game kind of progressed, he kind of woke up a little bit because things in that first game were not going well. They were down 20
turnovers.
Yeah, exactly. They were
kind of bailed out by Kelly Oubre because he was hot.
Absolutely,
pretty much all game.
And I think it's kind of given at least Embiid a little bit of like, well, all right, well, we're not done. I'm sure part of him was like, oh, we're going to be cooked without Harden because Harden, we won the MVP with Harden. This is probably the best player he's ever played with. And now he's seeing Maxey and all these other guys kind of playing like actual basketball together. They're moving the ball. They're getting good shots. It's not just a guy dribbling the clock out for 16 seconds and then hot potatoing it to the corner or hot potatoing it to the Joel where he has to either turn the ball over or jack up a bad shot and everyone yells at him. It's kind of more of an actual basketball team, and it's more of a fun team to watch. And it's just really remarkable. I mean, listen, Kelly Oubre has been a great addition for what he does. It's as long as you're not asking him to score, like not even like asking him to be smart, I guess, and move the ball and all that stuff. Like if you just want him to get buckets and play defense, then that's all we really need from a couple of these guys that we added. I mean, like you said, I haven't seen Rocco in a couple years. It seemed he was cooked a few years ago, so I can't imagine what he's looking like these days.
Well, he has more steals than field goals made on the season, so at least he's still active defensively. That's why I said he can play a little bit, but,
I mean, those guys that they added can kind of fit into that P.J. Tucker role. They can take the minutes that he was using up. Exactly. And
P.J. Tucker just doesn't,
I liked P.J. Tucker. I liked what he brought to the team, but it's not worth whatever he was getting paid and not making a deal like this. I do like the picks they got. When he first announced the trade, he said like all the players and just the multiple picks or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, we got screwed. Like we got absolutely gypped. But the more I look at it, it's like okay, like it's not what I was looking for. I wanted a Norman Powell or somebody that could kind of help us this year, where you could plug him into the lineup and be excited about him, get him 25, 30 minutes a game. We didn't exactly get that, but I don't know, Ty. I feel better about this than I thought I would.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think me and you, we never really had high hopes, no matter what happened, right? Unless we pulled a rabbit out of the hat and traded for like Levine. I don't think anybody really anticipates that, but I will say the Bulls are pretty bad. I watched them the other day against the Pacers. I think they won, but
they had a team meeting after the first game. They had a players-only meeting.
Yeah, things just. I mean, you look at the roster; it's like the most boring shit ever. Like Vucevic is still there. Like he's not a bad player, but he's just like nothing really exciting about him, And same thing. Patrick Williams is kind of like a bust.
DeRozan.
Yeah, he is what he is. He's good, right? He'll get some points, but kind of like empty stats. He's kind of always been stuck in shitty situations, really.
And his game is like not for this era, for the record. It's like
he still
all
can't shoot
mid-range
threes, really.
2-pointers. Yeah, it's like it's not exactly going to work, especially now.
But I really think offensively, Levine would help this team. He'd give us a true 3-level scorer, somebody who plays above the rim. Tyrese Maxey, I think, was one of the worst in the league among guards field goal percentage at the rim last year. That should improve, but still, he's just not somebody who plays above the rim, who is long, is big, athletic, really. So having Levine kind of with a different play style, but both similar, good scores. They both, when they heat up, they're fucking hot. Zach LaVine had what, 51, 49?
51
the other night.
Yeah.
Maxey, I think, had 30 something. He was 7 of 8, 7 of 9 from 3 in the first game or second game. I'm kind of getting all my games mixed up because there's so much has been happening lately in sports.
They happen so quick too, especially
Sports
the NBA,
Equinox yesterday.
Yeah,
love that. But either way, like that would be two great scoring guards with a big like Embiid, I think, and maybe whoever we have, Melton and Tobias on the wing. They're capable shooters more often than not. Especially Tobias, I know he's that's really all he offers, but he can shoot a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the short term. I guess they're going to just keep doing what they're doing. See where that gets them. Other teams, the Knicks have looked like shit. So, Boston's look good, Milwaukee's look good, but that's to be expected. So if we hold steady in the top 3, top 4 of the East, we'll see. I mean, I think the Bulls are going to be really desperate to get rid of Levine. They're bad. They're going to keep getting worse. So that's just an eye for me anyway, a player for me to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Levine has kind of been the guy that everybody's really circled and been like, that's kind of the guy we would like to add into this whole fold. As long as it's not like a crazy amount of capital and draft picks and all that, and I'm totally cool with that. And his contract is going to be a little expensive, so that's the only reason why I say I don't think they would make that trade, because it just seems like the Sixers have been anti like a long-term contract. They want all this flexibility, which I truly just don't get what the plan is. That's been my whole thing. I don't like, it's not like there's a Steph Curry out there or somebody of that upper echelon player that's going to be a free agent that we're going to be like, he's coming here. Like it's time for us to make this right. It's not like that. I don't see that player out there, the Pascal Siakam. I mean, maybe if that gets you going, I don't know. I'm sure Nick Nurse would probably love to have him back. I don't know. Yeah. He's okay. Like it's not, but he's not like he's gonna get like a max contract. Like it's not. That's not what I'm looking for. I don't know. But I would like the only thing I do like about him and Anunoby and guys of that, like not Levine so much, but I think we just need to add defense to this team, because Embiid and Maxey are gonna do a majority of your scoring. I just think if you can add guys, wings, guards, anything that can just defend and can play next to these guys, then I think we will be tough to beat for especially the Celtics and Bucks. I think we have kind of solidified ourselves as the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. It's not really all that close to me. I mean, the Heat are going to be there come playoff time, but another Butler year older, it's a lot of things are at play here. I think that the addition of this kind of Maxey is huge, and I think that the sky is the limit, honestly. I haven't felt this positive about the Sixers since probably last year before Game 6.
It's been a while for us. How would you feel about Tyree Rozier for like cheap-ish
I
as an
don't
addition?
I don't see why not. Who's he play for now? Is he
Still a Charlotte.
still Charlotte? Yeah. I mean, why?
LaMelo Ball's, stinking up the absolute joint.
Is he really
over there?
I mean,
Yeah, he's been abysmal to start the year. I think he's like, well, let's see his totals. Somebody I know had his over on points the other day. I think he had 5. So
oh boy,
didn't really come close. Oh, he had 8. I'm sorry. He's shot 4-15, 4-17, 3 of 12.
Okay, so he's just hucking them. I gotta
Yeah.
respect that. But no, yeah, it's. I think anybody that like that. I mean, Rozier's kind of a perfect like off the bench guard that could be like
Yeah.
great. Like him and Maxey kind of not share minutes, but like when Maxey's out, he comes in and just kind of runs it and scores the ball. And Terry Rozier used to kill us when he was in Boston.
Oh my god! I was just gonna say, he has probably good memories coming back to the Fargo.
Yeah, so I don't think really anything that you add, especially if it's a short term option, is perfect for what we have going on here. And I do like the idea of having those picks for the future. I just don't know what they would be able to make happen for next year.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I don't.
I agree.
I just don't know what they're going to turn that into and what's going to become available. When you look at the landscape of the NBA, I don't like Donovan Mitchell is like that was one of the guys that popped in my brain because he's kind of made it clear that he doesn't want to be in Cleveland. But exactly, like that was my exact reaction. Like a year or two ago, I was like yes, but like him and Maxey kind of are the same, but Maxey's more efficient and probably a better player now. So that's the tough thing, and I don't want to get too crazy with the Maxey love, but it really you have to be seeing this guy to really respect his his game because it's the 3 ball is clean as shit, and he's getting to the bucket, and there's a couple nights where he's had double digits assists. It's finally the offense looks free now that there's not this black cloud hanging over it, sucking the life out of it. So
he really knows his role and his strengths and weaknesses. Like there's some parts of his game, he's not going to be able to score in ways that some high scoring guards like Curry and Lillard can, like shooting guards. He can't score like them necessarily. He's not going to be somebody like SGA who has, can make any kind of shot at anywhere on the court because he's 6'6" with really, really long arms. He can't play above the rim, but he just knows his spots, right? And teams are giving him some looks.
Yeah.
And when he plays, the give and go game with JoJo has gotten so much better as a passer. I mean, it really. Sometimes I think his hands are just too big for the ball, and he chucks into the 10th row, and you're like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" But he can dish it, man. Especially when he has confident shooters. Then he can just say, "All right, fuck it. You don't need to be wide open, but if you're open a little bit, I'm throwing that bitch to you. You better catch it and shoot it." And Maxey's not shy anymore. I don't think so. He runs in transition. He really just takes advantage of what the defense gives him, I think. He's been getting to the mid-range a lot. He's been settling, getting to a nice, kind of settling into his shot and just really just becoming so much more of a shot maker. And, he's kind of creating for himself a little bit, right? He does have the deepest dribbling package in the league, but doesn't matter. He's playing really well. I'm really, really happy with the progress he makes pretty much from game to game, honestly.
Yeah, and that pick and roll where Maxey goes downhill after the handoff from Embiid is really deadly because it's just both guys have to kind of guard Maxey when he kind of gets downhill, and the whole offense or the defense has to collapse on him, and then he's just finding guys out in the corner or maybe dropping it back off to Embiid, and Embiid shooting the ball pretty well. So it's kind of taken a lot of the offensive pressure off Embiid because last year was a lot of just dump it down to Embiid and just kind of stand there and watch him go to work because, I don't know what Harden's going to give the Clippers, but it's got
black hole.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's all of those guys really aren't exactly great. I don't know. Harden has shown he's a pretty good distributor, but the way he does it is the stats don't really tell you how kind of anti just ball movement it really is. It's just kind of I'm going to assist here. Like, it's no one else. Like, there's no chance I'm giving it to this guy and he's passing it to someone else. Like, no. I'm giving it to this guy with 5 seconds on the shot clock, and he has to score right now, or it is what it is. But, listen, I feel good about it. I feel good about the Sixers. Now, am kind of coming out of my little bit of a hangover from last year, my hatred, and I'm just glad that it didn't have to last until February, kind of like the Ben Simmons thing did. It's now we can just kind of move forward and be happy to watch this Sixers team kind of just grow and feel good about it. I hope they make a move. I hope that some of these guys that they traded for help, and they probably won't, but at least they got some picks and stuff, and at least I feel somewhat good about it.
I'm with you.
How about the Eagles? Eagles take care of business this week. It was not an easy game, Ty. I don't know if you were able to kind of lock in and watch this whole thing, but we were down 14-3 at one point. Fumbles. The only thing that can really kill the Eagles, seemingly, is turnovers. They are when they lose, they have a habit of turning the ball over. And in this game, it wasn't really Jalen necessarily, but it was more of he did turn the ball over once, but I'm not going to blame that too much on him. There was a lot of little fumbles here in this game that kind of came back showed themselves, and maybe were going to be a problem. But 34-31, A.J. Brown is, if not the best, he's top 2 or top 3 best receivers in the league. Especially anytime he plays the Commanders, he's the greatest player to ever play the game. He had 9 catches, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Eagles still can't really run the ball, so I don't know if it's a running back problem or if the offensive line is just not getting the push that they were in the years past, or I don't know, but I still, listen, overall, I still have offensive coordinator issues. I still have defensive coordinator issues. I still have secondary issues. There's all the issues that existed before this game kind of still persist.
Yeah. I thought Jalen played good, but not great. Again, kind of like how he's been all year. I think he was better as a passer, but I don't think we're really going to get him going as a runner this year. It doesn't seem like. He's limping too much, and he's not really going to have. I mean, after this week we have a bye, right? It's yes. Cowboys then a bye. Okay.
Yes.
So that's good. We're going to need that, but that Cowboys game this week is fucking huge. And then right off the bye, we have the fucking Chiefs, and then the Bills, Niners, right? Something like that. And
yeah,
the Seahawks, and then
the beginning of the gauntlet.
I mean, this was supposed to be like some of our easiest games before we really get into the gauntlet. Was supposed to be the Jets and the Commanders, and the Commanders have scored 62 on us this year, both games. I think 31 in both, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Jets beat us. So this week's big. This week is really big.
38.
I think
31.
This is.
What was I looking? That's crazy. He actually went.
They were both.
Dude, I was looking and I was like, wait, hold on. I was like, there's. I was like, dude, Jalen threw for 4 touchdowns. Why does it say only 2? No. This game, the guy goes for 8, 130, and 2 touchdowns. My bad. I apologize. I am sorry.
Yeah, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes is pretty much A.J. Brown's son. So
it's bad.
At this point, poor guy. He was like, hey, I'm a first-round pick, but I did not sign up for this. A.J. Brown is just – I mean, how about that 1 touchdown catch? One-handed.
Stick the one hand out and then it just grabbed –
Monster.
Good to see Devontae get going, too, a little bit.
Yeah, he had 7 for 99. Dallas Goedert didn't play a huge part. I really like how they used Kenny Gainwell in the passing game. See, that's the problem. I like Kenny Gainwell in certain points, but they bring him in the goal line, and I'm like, why? If you want to toss it to him, or I really wish they would use that pony formation a lot, especially in the red zone. Have Swift go one way and then have Gainwell go the other way. Meanwhile, you have maybe Julio in there too, and you kind of just can throw a lot at a defense, especially in a high pressure situation in the red zone. Maybe just toss it out to Gainwell, but don't give him the ball. Don't run the ball up the middle with him. He's tiny, man. He can't. Swift isn't the biggest back, but he's got 30, 40 pounds on Gainwell. I think they both have had fumbling issues over their career, but I'd much rather go with Swift. So I think Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, they got to figure that out. The personnel in the red zone, the plays they call when they cross the 50-yard line and get in other teams' territory on 2nd and 3rd and long, still just stupid plays that I'm seeing every game. But Jalen played his ass off.
Yep.
For most of the game,
from the pocket too.
We didn't really establish the run at all. We haven't been that efficient running the ball for most part of this year. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's the right side of the line being kind of banged up and this and that, but the run blocking has not been great. I feel like we it was cool to see Julio catch that touchdown, but all in all, he's not going to give us much. But again, it was really cool. Everybody was hyped for him. But man, just a terrible game combined from our 2 outside corners. Bradbury and Slay, they were just behind. And honestly, Reed Blankenship, I think he had the pick, right? But other than that, he was behind. Nakobe Dean was getting picked on. The middle of the field was just getting abused. Eli Ricks, I think he had a couple big plays, but other than that, he was trailing guys a lot. I just kept seeing Eagles DBs behind the ball carrier in the middle of the field constantly. Jahan Dotson has done nothing all year unless he plays us. So,
yeah.
Same with, Sam Howell has definitely shown some things over the course of the year, but most of it is against us. Most of it. So, Jalen Carter played well until he got hurt. Hopefully he's okay. I haven't really seen or heard anything about that, so that's not great. Hassan Reddick showed up when it mattered, but I didn't see Byard do much. I saw Sidney Brown lay a big hit. Other than that, not much. Derek Barnett, nothing. Josh Sweat, didn't see him. Didn't see Fletcher Cox. So all in all, as a defense, other than Milton Williams, Jalen Carter getting some pressures up front with Hassan Reddick, I don't know, man. It was just it seems like we play up to the competition and down on defense. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird team. I really don't know what we are as a team yet, but it is early. I guess there's still like 13 minutes, right, until to make a trade.
Yes, and I do have not good breaking news, but after a day of exploration, Jalen Johnson is expected to stay in Chicago. So I know you were looking for that, and there was a tweet
I knew they weren't going to do it
from our board
fuck.
Najee that says "fuck Ryan Poles." So there you go.
I agree.
And Chase Young going to the 49ers. Does that scare you?
It's definitely. Dude, Eric Armstead, Joey Bosa, Chase Young, Javon Hargrave, nasty. But as long as Brock Purdy is there, I am not worried about it. I'm worried, but I am not. I'm more worried about Dallas. I think, if Dak's playing how he's playing right now, which, he's very inconsistent. He has been over the course of his career, but I think he gets shit on by Philly fans a little too much. But that's kind of, that's the Philly-Dallas rivalry. We shit on Romo, we shit on Dak, they shit on Wentz, they shit on Hurts. It is what it is. But when he's playing, when he's on, man, he is really dangerous. Tony Pollard, hasn't even really played well, and their offense is still humming. CeeDee Lamb's, having a career year. It looks like Jake Ferguson's a pretty good tight end. Their defense is playing good, so they're gonna be tough, man. I don't care what anybody says. Even if Dak does play a little bit down, they're still gonna be tough. Niners are gonna be tough too, but I'm just really not worried about that offense. Other than McCaffrey, Kittle's, so they have solid options, but again, it comes down to Brock Purdy, and he played terrible this week against Cincinnati. Just awful picks, and that's what he does. He can march you down the field, but he kind of did this in college too, because he was a big time college player and a big time recruit even. And he played well, and then he would just throw a pick or fumble, and it would be really bad, just be back-breaking turnover. So I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about the Niners. I'm more worried about us, really, shoring up the middle of the field that gets absolutely walked down. Anytime we caught the momentum in that game, they walked us down every single time. So, yeah, a little concerning.
Yeah, where do you really, it's hard to really be upset about a 38-31 victory. But I'm honestly just shocked or just worried about, like you said, those two corners have gotten cooked. It seems like all season long. They've had their moments here and there, but they both got new-ish contracts. Some were restructured, the other one was just a free agent that we brought back, and they have been bad all year long. And I'm waiting to see. I'm giving Kevin Byard a couple weeks before I start to talk some shit on him, but it's just really concerning, Ty. And we are sitting here during the recording of this about 10 minutes away from the deadline, and there has not been a move really made. I think the Eagles have
sold Douglas.
What?
He got traded to the Bills.
Oh,
I guess he's played better than he did. It's in Eagles fashion, typical Philly fashion, really. Somebody plays like shit for you, they go somewhere else and play better. That's kind of what he's been doing. But he's not anything crazy. The Bills are just in desperate need of a corner. But yeah, I guess we're not getting Jalen Johnson, which, whatever. I figured they would stick with Slay and Bradbury and Roby. But those three guys are old. Really no other way to put it. They're going to be a step behind. Bradbury is just a step behind. I think not this game, but last week against the Jets, he almost had a PBU, or if he was a couple years younger, but a pick six. But he was just late getting there, and the receiver caught it. He's just a step behind. And it's crazy. He just turned 30. Like that must be really where you just start to lose it. I don't want to panic. I don't want to, act like we're cooked. The season's over, but it's just been a trend that how long have we been talking about it? Me and you, even before the season, we're like, hey, just keep an eye out on these 30-plus-year-old corners, because once you get older, corner is really where you lose a lot of your. It's kind of where you just fall off a cliff. It's happened. It's happened with us so many times. Look at Namdi. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, sky isn't falling for sure. I mean, we have an all pro that we just traded for at safety. We have 2 Middle Tennessee State safeties. Absolutely love that. I'm going to keep saying it every podcast.
Shout out.
I just really worry about the mid. It's really the middle of the field, and we just can't. It's some of the same things that keep happening. It makes I think Desai has done some good things, but we couldn't get any pressure really. It seemed against Sam Howell. The first half, 0 sacks. That's what if we give Mahomes time in a couple weeks? If we give Dak time, we're going to get burned. So it's just a mix of things on defense. We have time. We're still kind of piecing it together. We haven't really had our full D line. I feel like Carter just missed some time. Jordan Davis has been in and out. Fletcher was in and out. So,
did we ever find out what was wrong with Jalen Carter?
I think it's back.
Yeah, is he going to be okay, or is it a?
I hope so, because
I hope so.
He
avoids major injury is what the headline says here. So that's.
I'm confident in saying he's our best defensive player.
I think so too.
He just obviously doesn't play 50, 60, 70 plays or whatever. But either way, again, sky isn't falling, but this week is big. This week is huge. I mean, we haven't really played Dallas, and we're at home, right?
We are at home. This game is at 4:00 at the Link. I will say, for the record, that place is going to be fucking buzzing. I will not be in the building. I will be in South Philadelphia, though.
Fuck yeah!
I will be at a local watering hole, and I will be in there. It'll probably be packed to the gills, and we'll be going nuts.
Catch me and Matt in a whatever you want to call it.
Shout out to McCuskers and Brothers too. Those are the 2 places that I drink at.
Shout out to Ryan.
Yeah, not him. Wouldn't go there. No, but in all honesty, I mean, listen, like you said, the sky isn't falling. We should probably just sit here and shit talk the Eagles for 10 minutes, but it's not about we're not worried about these regular season games or these Commanders games. It's more of we want to win the Super Bowl. So we know, I know what this team was doing last year compared to what they're doing this year, and they're kind of fighting for their life to win games that they would have blown teams out last year and kind of had it done by the third quarter. So
yeah.
That's where I look at it. I'm a little concerning. Nakobe Dean might stink. I do agree with you on that. Especially since he came back, the middle of the field has been getting chewed up. I know Nicholas Morrow wasn't exactly, the greatest Zach Cunningham guys of that nature, but I mean they were at least it looked more competent down the middle than it does now. I don't know. There's some. I would have loved to have them add a linebacker. That's just something they don't do though. The Eagles don't take linebackers seriously. They never have.
I will say Cunningham had our second highest grade per Pro Football Focus against the Commanders behind Jalen Carter. But it wasn't great. There wasn't really much green for our defense. It went Carter, Cunningham, Milton Williams, Son Reddick, Jordan Davis, and that was big drop-off. Our worst was Eli Ricks and then Kentavious Street, who we traded.
So we traded. He got out of here immediately. So there you go. So before we get out of here, Ty, I guess that's kind of we had our Eagles, we had our Sixers. My Flyers. I was at the Flyers game the other day. They lost 7-4. Had the backup goalie in, which I wish I would have known before I purchased.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would have been nice to know. But
Quacks, they play the Ducks, right?
They were playing the Ducks. The Ducks looked elite. But
Frankie Vetrano, my cousin with the Hattie.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough. I got my Joel Farabee goal, but it wasn't enough because I had the Flyers money line. Would have cashed that out if the Flyers would have been able to stay in that game. But I will say,
Urson, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, the good thing is going to a Flyers game or just going to hockey games in general is how much better hockey is in person than it is on TV. It's it's an unreal kind of experience to be able to see that whole ice and just the whole motion of everything happening. It's just. It's a way better environment. I like it probably better than going to a Sixers game or something like that. It's just
baseball.
I mean, the Sixers are better, but it's more if the Flyers were good, it would be the feeling would be the same in my opinion. But There you go. There's our hockey update for the and they blew a third period. They were about to force it to overtime, and the old Hurricanes took care of business at the very end. Flyers are playing some really good teams, and they're playing them close right now. So it's
things aren't that bad, right? Blackhawks just gave up 8 goals last night to the Coyotes, so that sucked.
It's not the end of the world. So I think the Flyers are trending in the right direction. Sixers are back to trending in the right direction. The Eagles are, and the Phillies are
right there.
They're right. They're both just there. So
yeah, they're there in Cancun playing golf.
So I guess we should kind of talk about the big weekend fight, right? I guess that's kind of the next logical step here, which would be Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou from Saudi Arabia, from the Riyadh. Riyadh season began.
Riyadh season, baby.
On Saturday.
I'm so fucking tired of hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, His Excellency kicked it off for us. They kept saying that. That shit was sketching me out.
I know. I kept hearing like, God, Christ.
I'm drinking my 55th Surfside, and I'm like, hey, man, can His Excellency get the fucking fight started? But listen, they told me the fight was going to start at 5 o'clock. That's what I was told the other day. So I raced home from the Flyers game. We sat down. There was the fight before was happening. I said, all right, cool. It just ended,
The one guy punches the ref.
Yeah, the one guy punched the ref with a body shot. I'm like, this is sick. And then we go to, all right, the fight's over. I'm like, okay, I figure maybe half hour max. Because, I just know boxing. It's ridiculous. Half hour max. No, they sat there and talked for at least 45 minutes about this and that and how exciting this is going to be and what an incredible thing. Lil Baby's going to perform. I'm like, well, how the fuck did they get Lil Baby in Saudi Arabia? Where the fuck did he, how much money did they have to pay him? Some guy named Floatin. He's out there, humda, doing his, fucking English, drill rap shit. I'm like, whoa, all right. He's doing, that song was sick. And then, Becky G. I'm like, where the fuck did they find Becky G? What, who are these people? Where did they get these people from? So they do this elaborate performance. That was at least 30 minutes, it felt like. I felt like forever. I'm laying on the couch about to fall asleep. I'm like, dude.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm like, will this thing start? Then, as they're performing, the stage fucking moves away and the ring comes out out of the ground. I was like, only in Saudi Arabia would you be able to do some shit like this. Unbelievable. Ty, were you entertained by the pre-fight festivities?
I mean, there was just such a big gap. I mean, listen, they shouted out Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. That felt weird, right? The guy executes people with 10 followers on Twitter because they, speak out a little bit against the government. He's like, you know what? Arrest that person. You know what? Take him to the quarter. Take him to the Capitol and execute him. 10 followers on Twitter. So that's happening. Women aren't even allowed to drive, it seems, over there. But they're shouting, like, yeah, shout out to MBS. Dude, the amount of people, the amount of celebrities, McGregor and Ronaldo, they're facing off. I'm like, what is going on? What do we have here? Eminem shows up. You said the little baby was there, right? He pops out of nowhere. Like, okay. Kanye West shows up. You're like, all right, that makes sense. That sounds about right, right? And then you see, I'm sure you saw some of the pictures where it's like Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Rampage, Junior Dos Santos, Izzy is all dressed up. You're like, all right,
Usman.
Usman was there. All of the boxing legends, Lennox Lewis, Sugar Hill Stewart, who I didn't even know was training Tyson Fury, the nephew of the late Emmanuel, Tyson, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, literally a who's who, everybody.
By the way,
like,
Usyk looked like he was on some supplements at that thing, dude. That guy's eyes were bugging, bro.
He was, dude. I can't imagine some of the pre and post fight parties that went on in certain parts of that city. It was probably amazing. Just orgies everywhere. Beheadings. I will say the least they could have done to pass some of the time was give us some old beheading videos or something to pass the time for us to be entertained. Right? If you're going to do Riyadh season, you got to give the people what they want. But they just decided they did a bunch of national anthems. They didn't do the American one, which. I guess there wasn't an American fighting, but, with all the help that we give to Saudi Arabia, the least they could have done was...
His Excellency.
His Excellency could have paid tribute to us, all the help that we give that country, but that's neither here nor there. I thought I was going to miss the fight. I ended up getting home at 7 after 7:10, and I'm like, wow, still hasn't started. Dude, the memes were so funny. There was remember when Kovalev and Canelo were waiting for the UFC fight? to finish, and they were in the back, and Canelo was taking a snoozer, just taking a nap in his whole fighting gear. Oh my God! So the whole ordeal was. It was something. It was. They really know how to just make everybody show up and for the most insane things to happen. I was kind of entertained in a weird way.
Like, if the fight had sucked, it would have been like bad. Like, it would have been horrible. Like, it would have just been unbearable. And it's, it is what it is. Like, it's the whole. I knew all this bullshit was going to happen. I just didn't know it was going to be to this level and to this degree. The
ring moving really just
the ring moving. That's when I stood up. I was in my house. Like, what? The ring was underneath there the whole time. Like, where were those other guys fighting? Like, I couldn't understand that. And then, like the people that you're seeing, like Oscar De La Hoya's in there, and I'm like,
yep, they're all just.
I'm like, there's no way these guys are all here sober. Like there's just no. All these drug addicts are in this building watching this fight, and so I guess we should just get to the fight. I mean, we talked enough about.
Did you see before that? Did you see the Joseph Parker eliminate some poor fella with an uppercut after the guy told him to come forward? He said, "Come forward, come forward," and then he got absolutely decimated with an uppercut. That was pretty funny.
There was a lot of just eliminations this weekend. That seemed
on and off the card.
Yeah, that guy getting up, he couldn't walk, and then then he's throwing punches. That was crazy, and I couldn't imagine what else was going to happen. But and then the walkouts. We're not even talking about the walkouts for these two. How long they were.
They were pretty elaborate, I'll say. Francis was cool though. He was walked out with Usman and Izzy. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I started to believe. I was like, yo, he's doing this.
They're sitting on the thrones. It's like, what are we doing here? But I will say, Ty, the fight itself, it delivered. And it's very rare that one of these kind of fights, these freak show sort of fights that I like to call them, ever really deliver. And this one delivered and then some. It was a very entertaining, exciting fight. Francis Ngannou was in the third round, put him down, put him on his ass with a nice kind of counter left hook. Francis looked very comfortable in there. He did not gas out like I thought he would. And Fury looked very uncomfortable. He looked like he was getting pushed on the back foot a lot of the time, and he was switching from orthodox to southpaw back and forth to try to find like an angle of some sort. But he was getting hit hard. You could see he was wearing it after the fight. He had that huge black eye.
Round.
Yeah.
Second round he got cut.
Dude, you could just tell right away. And they kept saying he's supposed to fight Usyk in December. I'm like, no, fuck, he's not.
That's not.
I don't know.
Frank Warren right after the fight was like, oh, well, Riyadh season extends all the way to March. So we'll discuss it. I'm like, yeah, that motherfucker's getting pushed back. You know that. It's funny because after the fight, he's like, yeah, he caught me with that one shot, but other than that, I feel fine. I didn't get hit with anything. Meanwhile, his left eye is swollen.
Yeah,
like,
his whole left eye is just dark. You're like, okay.
Yeah, he looked like me after I blacked out and fell a couple weeks ago. Eye is swollen shut. And then he had a cut on his forehead and at the bridge of his nose. I'm like, buddy, you got hit with more than that.
Yeah, it was a rough one. And I know a lot of people said that Francis got screwed or they got robbed. And we have kind of discussed this before, that we don't really necessarily think that's the case. It's not exactly a robbery. It was a very close fight, kind of lived up to exceeded expectations, and Francis Ngannou definitely exceeded everyone out there's expectations, but it's not a situation where like it was taken from him or he won it fair and square and the judges just screwed him. I think that it could have gone either way on that. Was it 94, 95, 95, 94? Either like both those scorecards I think were correct. Even the 96, 93, like it was very close. But we discussed it. You said this as much as just kind of Francis gave away a few of these rounds.
Yeah, especially the last two. The last two, he just So I'll ask you this real quick: how many rounds? How many rounds did one of these fighters land double-digit total punches? How many times do you say that happened?
Probably 2 or 3.
One.
Wow.
Fury in the first round. That's it. In the third round, Fury was 1 of 18 total.
And those were jabs.
18 total. This is the heavyweight champion of the world. The lineal heavyweight champion of the world. soon to be undisputed, the first heavyweight title, first heavyweight to have all 4 titles in this era, in the 4-title era. Like, and this is what he comes out and does. Like, there was a chance that he was going to come out and just not, look like he. I mean, he was all at the KSI Tommy Fury fight in the crowd drinking. I remember they showed him. So I was like, all right, that's not a good start. And then he comes out like this, and first round he wins, second round very close, third round he gets knocked down, and he didn't land one total punch. And then after that he started to turn up, but not really. I think it was a lot of more so Francis kind of being a little, he was kind of gassed out early, but I guess he got tired early, but he never gassed out, is what I should say.
Yeah.
Also, dude, can we talk about Francis's chin? Because he took some shots from a legit, again, the best and biggest boxer in the world, and he just ate them. Not once did he even get hurt. Not many shots, but several big ones. Especially Tyson Fury kept coming in with that left hook, right uppercut, or that straight right left hook. He a lot of times abandoned the jab. He didn't go to the body much after, I guess, the first couple rounds. If I can see any body shots landed, I can't find them. But all in all, he landed 71 of 223. That's 32%. And Ngannou was 59 of 231, 26%. Just, yeah, I mean, I only had like 3 or 4 rounds for Francis, and with the knockdown, I still have him losing pretty much, probably 95, 94. He just, it seems like he gave away like the rounds right after the knockdown, and then a couple at the very end too that he needed to win. It just, just inactivity a little bit is what cost him the win, but he still gets the win. He still wins the night. He gets a huge payday, right? And now he's setting himself up for more paydays. I could see after the Usyk fight, if Fury beats Usyk, which I think he will, I don't think anything changes my mind in that fight. Tyson Fury, over the course of his career, has struggled with guys that have length, right? Deontay Wilder, when he got knocked down by Steve Cunningham, he very long. When he fought Kevin Johnson, another guy with a late 83-inch reach, he went the distance with him. Otto Wallin gave him troubles. Otto Wallin has a really long reach. When he fights the shorter guys, he kind of smokes them because he's so big. He's so strong. He can bully guys like Usyk, I think. But Francis, I mean, first off, Francis looked absolutely cut the fuck up out of stone, granite, marble, everything. He looked huge in there. And he was kind of bullying Tyson a little bit. He was getting Tyson off balance. He wasn't letting himself get crowded on the rope in the corner at all. His footwork was good. He was swinging wild, but that's kind of who he is. All in all, Francis kind of looked like the better boxer. He wasn't crossing his feet like a lot of MMA guys do when they go into boxing, right? His footwork wasn't sloppy. He wasn't leaving his head out there. Every time Tyson Fury backed away, he had his head up. He kept ducking under, ducking in. He was getting hit with counter left, counter hooks. I was really impressed by Francis. I listened to Chris Algieri, former welterweight champion, talk about him. He said he was very impressed with Francis. I think the stars of this show, Eric Nixick and Dewey Cooper, the trainers for Francis, they had a strategy. And Timothy Bradley said it too. He said Francis has a strategy here. He's not going balls to the wall. I mean, he looks good. He's going to the body. When Tyson Fury switched to southpaw, Francis Ngannou switched to southpaw. I couldn't believe that in the third round, I think. He was doing a lot of like hand battling with the lead hand that was making Tyson Fury very, very uncomfortable. Couldn't really get the jab off. And, I mean, he just looked like he belonged, right?
It felt like a draw. That's what, in all honesty, when I
guess the knockdown makes it not impossible, but
like that's what, like when I was like, I wish they could have, right? I guess it is impossible. Going. I mean, yeah, it would be, no matter what.
Unless you give him 6-4, right? If you give him 6 rounds to 4 for Fury, he wins by that would be a draw, I think.
Yeah, that's, could be wrong. I don't know. No, either way though, it was that close where it was like I don't know. I really didn't know who won the fight after, but a couple guys shout out to Nelson had Fury decision, which was a quite what a sweat fest that was. But
yeah, definitely a sweat fest, but also a fat hit.
Yeah.
Also, round 6, Tyson Fury took a little MMA rules into his own cause. Landed a huge elbow, which a lot of people are saying disqualification. Like, no, man, that's not how that works. Pretty much, if you watch Bernard Hopkins' prime, he threw like 10 of those a fight. So,
like we said, though, the ref's not going to stop it.
Yeah. And then after the fight, Francis said, maybe I should have done what Conor McGregor said and threw a leg kick. That would have been funny. That would have been great.
Hey.
Also, it seemed like Tyson was doing more of the wrestling, like clinching. You know, anytime they clinched, Francis was hitting him in the clinch with uppercuts. Like he wanted to like hold him with one hand, right, kind of, and then hit him with the right. And he that's what cut him up in the second round, Tyson Fury. That's what drew blood. So, and listen, he's I think it was Maurice Suleiman or whatever the scumbag's name is, the WBC president. He said, "Yeah, we're going to put Francis Ngannou in our top 10." And I was like, "Oh God, that's just uncalled for." And then I looked at some of the boxing rankings, the heavyweight rankings. I was like, "Wow, he belongs." I would love to see him fight Derek Chisora or Dillian White. He probably smokes those guys, honestly. You know, Philip Hergovich, Joe Joyce, Frank Sanchez. You know, like Joseph Parker. I honestly don't see why you wouldn't be in a rush if you're, you know, the powers that be, setting up Deontay Wilder, Francis Ngannou in Africa.
Well,
that would be insane.
It seems like they want to do Anthony Joshua Ngannou, so that's, you know, that's everybody's going to want to fight Ngannou now. Eddie Hearn was already, you know, putting his name into the mix, sort of. So,
well, you know, Eddie Hearn likes to just.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't.
I do love his accent. Also, he's a fucking huge guy.
He really is.
Also, what are the odds Tyson Fury is 6'9"? Because Francis is like 6'5", and standing next to each other, they are not that far off. He's like a 6'7", I think. Not that it matters, but
Tyson also looks like he's in bad shape compared to what he was.
Terrible.
You know, even 2-3 years ago.
What do you think this does for him now? Since he's such a wild card, do you think this makes him better, or do you think we just won't hear from him for like a month or two? Right?
Who, Tyson?
Yeah.
No,
it could go either way.
We're not going to hear from him for a while, but I do think it will make him better. This was sort of a wake-up call, I would say, that he kind of got escaped with and got lucky with, because it would have been something he could never come back from if he was to have lost that fight. And even though he got knocked down, it's really not something he can come back from. But I think everyone can agree that Francis looked better than they thought he was going to, so it's not necessarily like a huge, you know, black eye, not to use a better pun here, but on his legacy. But it's not good. It's definitely not good for you to be, you know, the best boxer on the planet, especially at heavyweight. You know,
the
baddest man on the planet, and you were getting knocked down by a guy who just decided to box 6 months ago. So
right,
it's not good. It's definitely not good. But I think it will. It'll kind of light a fire underneath him, and he will come out. I think he'll beat the shit out of Usyk, and then him and Ngannou will run this back sometime, probably next summer. And I think we'll see a better version. I don't know, but I was very shocked by the version of Tyson Fury that showed up on Saturday night.
That was the 7th time Fury has ever been knocked down. Do you know who has knocked him down in his career?
Not all of them. I know Deontay has, obviously.
4 times of those 7 is Deontay. 1 is Francis. The other 2, one being Steve Cunningham. The other being, I forget his name. God damn it.
There you go.
It was a long time ago. It was Nakic. He smoked it with a right, and he looked like he folded. But so yeah, I mean, dude, Francis has just done. I mean, in like 10 or 15 years, I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but we're going to see like another Rocky movie. Like this is a legit Rocky story.
Yeah.
Like came from nothing, quite literally nothing. Didn't he like walk to Paris from wherever he was? Or I forget. He made like some kind of journey on foot, right? Was working in sand mines, was homeless in a parking garage, wanted to box, but he was doing a lot of kickboxing since he was in France, and then just did MMA. Makes it to the UFC, wins the belt. Then he does what nobody's pretty much ever done: defeat Dana White, get out of those absolutely god-awful UFC contracts to do whatever he wants to do. Does it, and pretty much wins, right? I mean, he knocks down Tyson Fury. He gets however many $1 million he got, like just all the attention. Everybody, he's like the talk of the sports world for that Saturday, and especially the combat sports world. And now he can, like, you know, everyone's like, oh man, he's gonna fight Maurice. It's funny. Dana White literally said he fumbled the bag. No, you fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
And also a lot of. I don't mean to keep going and just going on and on, but a lot of MMA fans are pretty much declaring a win over boxing fans. I'm like, well, it seems like boxing is now taking Francis from MMA. So really, boxing wins. You know what I mean? Like the heavyweight division is completely just dead. And Francis, in some way, somehow, has reinvigorated the interest. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Ruiz is like, let's fight, man. Me and you, let's do this for $100 million. And everyone's like, please, just shut up, Andy Ruiz. You're not making any money. Nobody wants to fight you. It's either Joshua or Wilder. It has to be. I would love to see Francis fight Derek Chisora, Dillian White, Zhilei Zhang, Philip Hergovich, but nobody's really coughing up money for that. At least not that much. Francis and Deontay or Francis and AJ, that's going to be a big, big event, especially after this. You can do that in London. You can do that in Africa if you want. You can do that anywhere.
Man, and I was just so happy that this went as well as it did for Francis, because I did not want to see him get kind of embarrassed as much as I was mad at Francis, because I just wanted to see him in the UFC. It really wasn't even his fault, but it was just more of I wanted to see him fight John Jones. Like that was that fight made me so excited that that's the only thing I wanted to see in heavyweight. And then when he left, it's like, well, especially if he was going to go fight in MMA, it's like, well, you're wasting your time if you're going to PFL or Bellator. Like we talked about, we went through their top 10s, and it's like, well, no, none of us want to see him fight. Like he will go into irrelevancy if that's the plan, you know, if that's just to get into the smart cage and fight Maurice the Rocket Green or whatever the fuck his name is. That's
the crochet boss. Come on,
whatever. Who cares?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't even know either. But at least he's now like in boxing. He matters. You know, like it's something worth watching. And he like you said, although it's not necessarily a win for MMA, he does represent MMA in some aspects. So it's like I do see the people that are like, yeah, boxing, like fucking boxing sucks. It's like, well, not really. I mean, what? Eventually,
they just had one of their best years ever.
Yeah, but they also sent about 7 MMA guys over to get killed by Jake Paul. So it's not exactly the great. Yeah, like Darren Till's over there selling his clothes for a living. I don't know if you saw that. That was kind of sad. But yeah. Listen, things are tough in the MMA world, all right? And things can be tough for a lot of these guys. So for a guy like Francis who came from nothing to be now worth millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars is a true, like you said, Rocky story. And, what do we have? We'll have another show coming up this week, right? We have a full UFC card.
Alameda Fight Week, baby.
Yeah, we have a Sao Paulo special here. We'll have... what's it called? It's not Curtis Blade. It's Derek Lewis. Oh my god.
Yeah, the Bonfils are back, both of them.
Wow.
The main card looks pretty juicy, I'll say.
Well, I mean, anytime they haven't been to Brazil in when? Before the pandemic?
No, weren't they there at the beginning of this year or no?
They might have been. That's a great question.
Can't remember.
That is a great question. But yeah, like you said,
I thought they were there sometime in like January or February. Because I thought it was supposed to be. Was it when I don't know. Oliveira Makachev? Did they fight in Brazil?
Am I losing?
No,
that was in Abu Dhabi.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm trying to.
It appears I am losing my mind.
UFC 283 was it was in Brazil. You're right.
Okay.
So Glover Teixeira and Jamal
That's
Hill.
right, Glover. Yeah.
And they both lost. Figueiredo and Moreno, both Brazilian champions, took an L.
Are you saying that Jailton Almeida is going to lose to Derek Lewis this Saturday? Is that what you're saying?
Jailton Almeida is going to smoke Derek Lewis. He's going to body bag him to no end. What else was supposed to be on this card? Jailton Almeida was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be him and Blades.
No. I'm talking about the two. I'm looking at 283 already. He was supposed to fight Shamil Abdulrahmanov.
That was gonna be a big win for Shamil.
Oh no, it did happen. Oh, I don't know. It did happen.
You're losing it.
No, it did happen. Yeah, he knocked him out in the second round. Okay, so there you go. I feel like there was a fight that was supposed to happen on here that didn't, but whatever. Josia Nunez, she was there. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. I will have my shit together for the UFC Sao Paulo episode. This one was in Rio de Janeiro, so that's.
I think that's all we have this weekend. I don't think there's any boxing.
No,
boxing's taking a little bit of break until December, but we're going to end the year pretty well. There was a big fight for 147, O'Shaquie Foster. There have been thousands. Here's a stat: thousands of world title fights. But on Saturday night, O'Shaquie Foster became only the 14th fighter in a title fight to trail on points going into the last round and score a stoppage victory.
Wow.
Other ones I can think of off the top of my head: Jake LaMotta, Carl Froch, Julio Cesar Chavez. That was rigged. Shannon Briggs with 1 second left. He was losing. There was one judge who had him losing every single round. A Mexican judge. The fight was in Mexico. The fighter he was fighting was Mexican. So I don't know if you see a suspicious trail here, but it seems like the WBC had somebody they wanted to win the fight before the fight happened. But that's why you don't let it go to the scorecards. And he got a 12th round knockout. The 11th round was round of the year. He was hurting him. Rocky Hernandez is who he fought. He was hurting him. Then he got hurt. So shout out to the American.
Shout out. I'm about to go watch that 11th round just because
it was insane.
I didn't see it. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We will have a UFC episode. We may have a little Eagles 20-minute episode just to kind of break down the Cowboy game a little bit the closer we get to it. I think it's still a little too early to get into the weeds about the Cowboy game. But my name is Matt McSweeney.
I am Ty Capone.
And as always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you drink a glass of water before you have your morning coffee.